Shortly after that, we were able to scratch up enough funding that I got started in RC. I remember doing dishes for a month for my parents to earn a Gentle Lady kit. At the time, they were like $20, $19.95. So my parents got a deal. That was the only 30 days of my entire childhood that they did not hear me complain about having to do dishes. So I knew there was something good at the end. So I built that glider with the help of my dad. And the owner of the hobby shop taught me how to cover with monocoat. And so we got the thing flying. We used a 049 engine. And that's the airplane I learned how to fly RC with. On my first solo flight was pretty uneventful. In fact, I don't even remember it. The second solo, I learned why you don't turn downwind low altitude. Ended up hitting the side of the building. I put a dent in the building, and I broke the nose off the plane. Pennies went everywhere. I used pennies for ballast in the nose. But it didn't matter. I had the thing repaired that afternoon. I'd bug my mother probably every other day to take me out there to that flying field and fly. It's actually where I got my start learning about weather, because I would watch the Weather Channel and plan out my events for the week based on where the high pressure systems were, because I knew that was when the wind would be the least, when the big H was over Wisconsin. Another thing that we did in the club, which I've really enjoyed, was we flew indoor. We set up times every other week in the winter time. I mean, nobody really wants to fly RC in the winter in Wisconsin. So we would go to 2 different school gyms and we'd fly indoors. And the model on top there is a modified Walt Mooney JN1. I built that one with single surface covering and sliced ribs for lightness. I was able to get about a minute in the gym with that particular model. Another one of my favorite designs was Dick Baxter's Pussycat down here on the left. That one I covered with condenser paper on the wing and the tail. I was able to get almost 2 minutes out of that one in the gym. That's another one of those beginner models that's really easy to build and flies right off the board every single time. And we would have prairie bird, prairie chicken races. Just a lot of fun. And that's something that I think more people could do and get kids involved, because naturally you're going to be in a gym, and if you can get the school on board with securing a gym, you know, the kids should be able to follow shortly thereafter. So as the years went on, I was about 15 years old when the guys decided, you know, you can fly a sailplane pretty well. Why don't you enter the nationals before you get too old so that you have to compete with the adults? And I thought, well, that's kind of a neat idea. Hadn't really thought much about going to the nationals. It was always somewhere far away across the country. This was before they were holding them in Muncie every year. And the club got together. They raised a little bit of money so that we could drive from Wisconsin down to Lubbock, Texas in 1994. I went with my dad and my RC instructor, and we drove an old station wagon all the way down to Lubbock, Texas. It was kind of like a view out of National Lampoon, honestly. But somehow we made it down there. And we got down there, and the first day of practice, I remember it was over 100 degrees. I met my competitor. We only had 2 people in my class. A kid named Gil Ortiz from California was there, and he had this gorgeous, beautiful 4-channel composite high-performance sailplane. And in practice, he just blew me away. He'd go straight up out of sight and come down and land just on the dot next to his feet. And I had my SIG riser that I built. Ironically, Futaba was a sponsor of mine because I had originally planned on building a Spirit 100 with all the, ailerons and the flaps and everything, and my 4-channel radio wasn't going to cut it. But I ended up taking the riser because I loved it so much. I really got good at flying it, and I could land it wherever I wanted to. And so after hitting a soccer pole on landing at practice. I went home, back to the dorm, repaired it, came back the next day fully expecting to just, well, you know, we're here, just do your best and have fun, you know. And because we didn't have much hope that I was going to take home much hardware. But lo and behold, it rained that day. So I got my chance. People were getting their gentle ladies out of the back of their cars as backups because there was no lift to be found in this field in Texas. And I managed to find the thermals I had to find to win my event. And I did that. You know, I went there, I had fun. I did my best. I made my landings toward the end of the contest after my nerves settled down a bit. And I ended up taking home first place. And I got in the local newspaper yet to boot. So I became a local celebrity for a little bit. Because I spent so much time at the flying field, the guys would joke about, well, geez, you know, you should write the happenings column for the newsletter. You're here all the time, and, you know, we'd like to hear about what's going on at the flying field. So I said, okay. So I did. So every month I would write a happenings column for the newsletter for the club, and I really got to really love writing because of that. And again, that's all because of model aviation. By the time I was 17, I was trying to think of where I wanted to go to college, what I was going to do. I kind of wanted to get into mass communication. Why I didn't want to fly, I still don't know. I guess I didn't realize that there were so many universities that offered flight programs at the time. I didn't really think that was an option. So I applied for the AMA Charles H. Grant Scholarship in, I think, 1995. And I ended up winning the top scholarship that year based on my performance in school and all the activities I did for the club and writing the newsletter and going to the nationals. It all just added up that I got the top scholarship, and that year it was $10,000. And for my family, that was a huge deal because that paid for about half of my bachelor's degree. I went to the University of Wisconsin, Green Bay, and I got a communications degree with a minor in photography, and that's also due to all the photography that I did in the model club for the newsletter. Here's a later picture in the club. You can see over the years the membership dwindled quite a bit. We lost a lot of membership because they passed away, and it's I guess one of the big problems for all of aviation now, models and full scale as well, is how to get young people involved so that our hobbies can keep going.